Our story begins deep in the eastern part of Mexico, in a place where the jungle is so thick that the sunlight struggles to touch the ground. Imagine a world of green, a massive forest stretching as far as the eye can see. The air here is heavy and humid, filled with the constant sounds of exotic birds and unseen creatures moving through the trees. For centuries, this jungle has kept its secrets safe, hiding ancient cities and forgotten temples under a blanket of leaves and vines. It's a place that both invites you in with its beauty and warns you to be careful with its wild, untamed nature. This is exactly the kind of place where adventure awaits. A team of archaeologists, brave men and women who study the past, had been working in this area for months. They were searching for clues about the Maya, a great civilization that lived here long ago. The team was led by Dr. Elena Ortiz, an expert in Mayan history. They were not looking for just anything. They were looking for something special, a place that no one had seen for over 1,000 years. Following old maps and local legends, they pushed deeper into the jungle than most people ever dare to go. Every step was a challenge, cutting through thick vegetation and navigating the difficult terrain. One hot afternoon, something incredible happened. A young guide on the team named Mateo was clearing a path when his machete hit something hard. It wasn't a rock or a tree root. It was stone, but it was smooth and shaped by human hands. As they cleared away the vines and dirt, they uncovered the entrance to a cave. It was hidden behind a curtain of hanging roots, almost invisible to the world. The opening was small and dark, like a mouth breathing cool, ancient air out into the warm jungle. This was the moment they had been waiting for, a doorway into the past. The excitement among the team was electric. Finding a new cave in Maya territory is like finding a treasure chest. These underground places were sacred to the Maya, who believed they were entrances to the underworld, a place they called Xibalba. The team knew this wasn't just any hole in the ground. It was a potential time capsule, a place that could hold answers to questions historians have been asking for centuries. With their hearts pounding, they prepared their gear, ropes, helmets, and lights. They were about to step out of the bright jungle and into the complete darkness of a forgotten world, ready for whatever secrets it held. With their headlamps switched on, the team carefully entered the cave, one by one. The air immediately changed, growing cooler and smelling of damp earth and stone. The darkness was absolute, and their lights cut sharp beams through the black, revealing a narrow passage ahead. The walls of the cave were wet and glistened in the light, with water slowly dripping from the ceiling, creating a soft, echoing sound. Every noise they made, from the crunch of their boots on the gravel floor to their own breathing, seemed incredibly loud in the deep silence. They moved slowly, making sure every step was safe. As they ventured deeper, the narrow passage opened into a much larger chamber. It was like walking into a natural cathedral. Massive stone formations, called stalactites and stalagmites, reached from the ceiling and the floor like giant teeth. The room was huge, and their lights could barely reach the other side. Dr. Ortiz called for the team to stop and look around carefully. This was the first test. Was this just a natural cave, or did the Maya use this place? They began to scan the walls and the floor, searching for any sign of human activity, anything out of place. It didn't take long to find what they were looking for. Along one wall, partially buried in the dirt, were pieces of broken pottery. These were not just simple clay pots. The fragments were painted with red and black designs, clear signs of the Maya. This discovery confirmed their hopes. People had been here long ago. The team carefully collected the pieces, knowing that each one was a clue. The style of the pottery could tell them when the Maya used this cave and maybe even what they were doing here. It was a thrilling moment, the first piece of a giant puzzle. But the most amazing discovery in that first chamber was yet to come. As one of the archaeologists shined his light toward the ceiling, he noticed something strange. High up on the wall, far out of easy reach, was a series of handprints painted in red ochre. They were small, almost like the hands of children, but they were a powerful and personal connection to the past. It was as if the ancient Maya were reaching out through time, leaving their mark for future generations to find. The team stood in silent awe, staring at the handprints. This cave was not just a place, It was a sacred space filled with human stories. To understand why this cave is so important, we need to remember who the Maya were. They were an amazing civilization that flourished for thousands of years in what is now Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. Long before Europeans arrived in the Americas, the Maya were building incredible cities with towering pyramids that touched the sky. These were not just simple structures, they were complex architectural wonders, built without metal tools or wheels. The Maya were brilliant engineers and astronomers, and their cities were carefully planned according to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. The Maya were also gifted artists and thinkers. They developed one of the most sophisticated writing systems in the ancient world, using pictures and symbols called hieroglyphs. They carved these symbols into stone monuments, called stelae, to record their history, their kings, and their gods. They also wrote books, called codices, on paper made from tree bark. Sadly, only a few of these books survive today. The Maya also created beautiful art, from intricate stone carvings and jade masks to colorful murals and decorated pottery. Their art gives us a window into their lives, their beliefs, and their world. Their knowledge of mathematics and astronomy was incredible. The Maya developed the concept of the number zero, something very advanced for their time. They created several complex calendars to track time, including a 365-day calendar that was more accurate than the one used in Europe at the same time. They could predict solar eclipses and track the path of the planet Venus with amazing precision. This knowledge was deeply connected to their religion. The pyramids they built were often aligned with celestial events, acting as giant calendars and observatories for their priests and rulers. Despite all their achievements, the Maya remain a people of mystery. We know so much about their great cities, like Tikal and Chichen Itza, but there are still many things we don't understand. Their society was complex, with powerful kings, priests, warriors, and farmers. They had a deep connection to the natural world and a rich spiritual life, believing in many gods and a sacred underworld. The discoveries made in places like this secret cave help us fill in the gaps in their story, offering new clues about their rituals, their beliefs, and their daily lives. Finding lost Mayan cities in a jungle that covers thousands of square miles seems like an impossible task. For many years, archaeologists had to rely on luck, old maps, and grueling expeditions on foot, hacking their way through the dense forest. Many ruins were found by local farmers or chicleros, men who collected sap from trees. But in the 21st century, archaeology has a powerful new tool that has completely changed the game. This technology is called LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging. It allows scientists to see through the jungle canopy without cutting down a single tree. Here's how it works. An airplane or a helicopter flies over the jungle, carrying a special LiDAR scanner. This scanner shoots billions of laser pulses down toward the ground. Most of these lasers bounce off the leaves and branches of the trees, but some find their way through the gaps and hit the forest floor. The scanner measures the tiny amount of time it takes for each laser pulse to return. By analyzing this data, a powerful computer can digitally remove all the trees and vegetation, creating a detailed three-dimensional map of the bare earth underneath. The results are simply astonishing. On the LiDAR maps, the jungle disappears and a hidden landscape is revealed. Suddenly, archaeologists can see the outlines of ancient pyramids, palaces, houses, and even defensive walls and agricultural terraces that have been hidden for centuries. It's like having X-ray vision for the entire landscape. This technology has helped researchers discover thousands of previously unknown Mayan structures, revealing that the Maya population was much larger and their civilization was far more extensive and complex than anyone had ever imagined. It has truly started a revolution in Mayan archaeology. For Dr. Ortiz and her team, LiDAR was the reason they were in this specific part of the jungle in the first place. The initial LiDAR scans of the area had shown a series of strange, unnatural-looking hills. While they looked like natural features to the naked eye, the precise geometric shapes on the LiDAR map suggested they were man-made structures that had been swallowed by the jungle. The cave they found was located at the base of one of these mysterious hills, which the LiDAR data suggested was actually a pyramid. Technology led them to the spot, but now it was up to them to uncover the secrets on the ground. The large hill where the team found the cave was known to the locals as Kiwiak, which means in the center in the local Mayan dialect. For generations, people thought it was just a natural part of the landscape. But the LiDAR map told a different story. It showed the distinct four-sided shape of a pyramid, now covered by a thick layer of earth and trees. The discovery of the cave at its base made the site even more significant. Pyramids were often built on top of or near sacred caves, which the Maya saw as portals to the spirit world. This connection suggested the Kiwiak Pyramid was a very important place. After securing the entrance to the cave, the team's focus shifted. They needed to know what was inside the pyramid itself. Using the LiDAR map as a guide, they began to carefully excavate a section of the pyramid's slope. It was slow and difficult work. They had to remove tons of soil and roots by hand, being careful not to damage any underlying structures. After several weeks of painstaking digging, their tools hit solid stone. They had found the original surface of the pyramid, a wall of large, precisely cut limestone blocks, confirming that this was indeed a man-made structure. The team continued to clear the area, following the stone wall. They soon uncovered what looked like a sealed doorway. It was blocked with carefully placed stones and mortar, a clear sign that the Maya had intentionally closed this entrance long ago. This was an incredibly exciting moment. A sealed chamber meant that whatever was inside had likely been untouched for more than 1,000 years. It was a perfect time capsule. The team documented everything, taking photos and making drawings of the sealed entrance before they began the delicate process of opening it. With great anticipation, they carefully removed the stones one by one. As the last stone was pulled away, a wave of musty, ancient air rushed out from the darkness within. Shining their lights inside, they saw a small, square room. The walls were covered in faded plaster, and in the center of the room sat a single, large stone box. This was a royal tomb. They had found the burial chamber of a Mayan ruler or a high-ranking priest. The pyramid was not just a temple, it was a final resting place, and its secrets had been protected by the jungle for centuries, waiting to be rediscovered. While part of the team worked on the pyramid, others continued to explore the newly discovered cave system. The deeper they went, the more artifacts they found. The cave was like a labyrinth, with branching tunnels and hidden chambers. In one of these chambers, they made a remarkable discovery. The floor was covered with hundreds of ceramic vessels. There were bowls, plates, and tall cylindrical vases, many of them still intact. It was an incredible collection of Mayan pottery, far more than they had found in the entrance chamber. This was clearly a place of great importance. The pottery was not for everyday use. Many of the pieces were beautifully decorated with images of gods, animals, and complex geometric patterns. Some vases were even inscribed with hieroglyphs. Dr. Ortiz and her ceramics specialist, Dr. Chen, began to analyze the collection. They noticed that many of the pots had been intentionally broken. This was a common practice in Mayan rituals. Breaking the pots was believed to release the spirit or energy contained within them, making it an offering to the gods of the underworld. The entire chamber felt like the aftermath of a great ceremony. One particular set of vessels caught their attention. It was a group of 7 small, identical bowls, arranged in a circle on a flat rock. Each bowl contained a small amount of ash and charcoal, suggesting something had been burned inside them as an offering. What was most mysterious was that these bowls were different from the others. The clay was from a region far away, over 100 miles to the south. This meant that the people who performed this ritual had either traveled a great distance to this specific cave or were part of a long-distance trade network. This discovery raised more questions than it answered. Why was this cave so special that people would travel for weeks to leave offerings here? What ritual took place in this chamber? The hieroglyphs on some of the larger vases might hold the key. The team carefully packed the pottery to be taken back to the lab for further study. They hoped that by translating the texts and analyzing the chemical residue in the pots, they could piece together the story of this mysterious underground ceremony and understand the cave's true purpose in the Mayan world. The cave held yet another astonishing secret. In a remote passage Far from the main chambers, a member of the team exploring a narrow crevice noticed colors on the wall. They were faint, but they were unmistakable. They had found cave paintings. This was an extremely rare and valuable discovery, as very few Mayan cave paintings are known to exist. The damp environment of most caves is not good for preserving paint, so finding them is always a special event. The team gathered, shining their lights gently on the walls to reveal the ancient art. The paintings depicted scenes that were both strange and fascinating. There were figures of humans dressed in elaborate costumes with large headdresses, perhaps priests or nobles. There were also images of animals that were important to the Maya, like jaguars, bats, and serpents. The style of the paintings was different from the art found in the big cities. It was simpler, more abstract, and had a raw, powerful energy. The colors, made from minerals like iron oxide for red and charcoal for black, were still visible after more than a millennium. One large panel seemed to tell a story. It showed a figure, possibly a shaman or a god, journeying through a series of obstacles. He is seen paddling a canoe, confronting a giant bat, and finally arriving in a place filled with seated figures. The archaeologists believed this was a depiction of a journey into Xibalba, the Mayan underworld. The paintings were a visual guide or a map of the spiritual realm, a story told to those who visited this sacred dark place. The art wasn't just decoration, it was a religious text painted on the walls of the earth itself. These paintings offered a unique glimpse into the early beliefs of the Maya. The style suggested they were older than many of the Great Pyramids, dating back to a time before the classic Mayan civilization reached its peak. They represented a deep, ancient tradition of cave worship. The artists who created these images were connecting with the most powerful forces in their universe, the gods of death, creation, and the earth. For the archaeologists, it was like reading a lost chapter of Mayan history, one written not in stone or on paper, but on the living rock of the underworld. Every discovery at Kiwiak, the pyramid tomb, the ritual pottery, the ancient paintings, adds a new piece to the puzzle of the Mayan civilization. We learn more about their kings, their gods, their art, and their daily lives. We see their incredible skills as builders, astronomers, and artists. But all of these discoveries also lead us back to the biggest mystery of all. Why did this great civilization collapse? Around the 9th century AD, the Maya in the southern lowlands began to abandon their magnificent cities. The pyramids were left to the jungle, and the great plazas fell silent. Historians and archaeologists have many theories, but no single answer. It was likely not one single event, but a combination of many problems. One popular theory is environmental disaster. The Maya may have cut down too many trees to build their cities and to create farmland, leading to deforestation and soil erosion. A series of long, severe droughts may have caused crops to fail, leading to widespread famine and thirst. In a society that depended on rain for its survival, a change in climate could have been catastrophic. Other theories point to social and political problems. Constant warfare between the different city-states may have exhausted their resources and led to the breakdown of society. The population had grown very large, and it may have become impossible to feed everyone. Disease could have swept through the crowded cities. It's also possible that the people lost faith in their kings and priests, who were supposed to be able to communicate with the gods and ensure good harvests. When the rains failed and the food ran out, the people may have simply walked away from the cities, looking for a better life. The secret cave and pyramid at Kiwiak provide more clues. The pottery from distant regions suggests a complex network of trade and pilgrimage that was active for a long time. The sealed tomb shows us the power and wealth of their rulers. But the abandoned ritual sites in the cave also speak of a final act, a last offering before the people left. The mystery of the Maya collapse is what makes this civilization so endlessly fascinating. Each new discovery gives us more to think about, but also reminds us how much we still have to learn. The jungle still holds many secrets, and the search for answers continues.